Hi everyone, we are here today with part 2 of our subject Finance in Korea. Let's dive in for today's lesson. Today we will talk about banks and bank accounts while reviewing a little bit more of a general information about the subject. When we are talking about banks in Korea, there are a couple of options and it really depends on the length of your stay and what you're looking to do while you're in Korea. Let's start with the local banks. The local banks, the bigger ones like Hana, NKB, Shinhan, and Uri, they all offer English support. Please check the board of the course below. I've prepared a list of English supporting call centers for those banks. If you're staying more than a year in Korea, I would definitely recommend to open a bank account in a local bank in order to do your financing in Korea. Another option is our foreign banks in Korea, which will be HSBC, Citibank, Standard Chartered. Most of them are not supporting the retail, the B2C here in Korea, or they have very limited B2C branches. If you do have your international bank account in one of those banks, you can feel free to keep using those banks without opening a local bank account. But I would not recommend to open a bank account here in Korea in one of the international banks. Rather, it will be much more convenient to open a bank account in a local bank that can offer English support. For Koreans and non-Koreans as well, many residents has multiple bank accounts just to get different discounts and different benefits. And some non-Koreans, they open a bank account, one bank account for savings and one bank account for their monthly financing. So it really depends on what you need and what you want. I would probably recommend to have two different bank accounts, and this is just to put your eggs in different basket. Another thing that is important regarding to banking is that online banking is increasingly popular because of its convenience. However, to non-Korean, due to the regulations and the complexity, it is still not very easy to use. So we will have a different course about online banking, how to register and how to manage it. So look forward for that as well. Bank offline working hours are between 9 to 4, which is not very convenient. So just keep that in mind when you need to go to your bank. The banks are not open until late. But if you need a simple support, you can call the call centers. They usually work until 6. And of course, the online banking, which is available 24/7. So you can just go ahead and use that as well. Let's move forward to opening a bank account. And a couple of things that I wanted to mention. First, during 2016 to 2018 and continue now to 2019, there are many changes and new regulations that coming in due to different factors in the finance industry in Korea. So it becomes more difficult to actually open a bank account in a local bank. What I would recommend is, again, if you are here for a short period of time, you might not be able to, or you might consider not to open a bank account. So if you're an exchange student or you're coming here to work for 6 months, less than a year, it's probably either not going to be available to you or it's not going to be worthy to open a bank account. If you're here for more than a year, I would definitely recommend to open a bank account and it will be available to do. A bank account in Korea can be under one name, so one bank account for one owner. There is a form of shared account here in Korea, but it is never under two names for one account. For non-Koreans, there are a couple of bank accounts available and they have different features to each. But basically we have student bank account, which is for the D series visa, and we have the regular bank account, which is for the E and F series visas. There are other bank account types, but they're quite rare. So the major two will be a student bank account and a regular bank account. Now, the next part might sound weird for you, but in Korea, although there are general regulations from the government, there are different regulations from bank to open an account for non-Koreans. So there are banks that make it much more easier, which from a general and personal knowledge would be Hana and Uri and KB. And there are other banks which might not be as easy to open and manage your bank account. The general documents that we usually need to open an account will be the proof of your status. So if you're a student or employee, if you're a resident, if you're married to Korean. Each of those categories has different certificates. So what I would recommend is to use those English supporting call centers before you're going to the bank and actually ask, what documents do you need? I know that there are a lot of non-Koreans who are just going to the bank, and then in the bank they're having a lot of difficulties. So there are banks who has English support call center for you to utilize that and ask them what you need, and you can prepare before you go. So this is the end of part 2, and in part 3 we will dive even deeper into opening the bank account. Usually, what do we need and what do we get when we are opening our bank account? I'll see you then.